We did Dr. Subhash Chandra show, popularly known as DSC show, for 4 years, from August 2014 to August 2018. 28 states of Bharat. Of course, we reached out to all of you in 190 countries across the world. The show was very successful. Each episode was being watched by almost 25 million people every week. For past 6 years, the demand of the show has never died down. People write to us, people ask for the show to restart again. Hence, we are beginning the show once again on All Z Network, also on WION, which is the global network channel from India. Again, thank you for your love and affection. See you soon at Subhash Chandra Show.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at yoursarthi@such.org.in.
Welcome back. You're watching WION World is One with me, Jyotsna Kumar, and this is World DNA. Let's start with the headlines. Hezbollah says it's launched a salvo of rockets at a North Israel town early on Sunday, calls it a retaliation for Israel's attack that had killed 3 civil defense workers in South Lebanon on Saturday. India and China can play a role in resolving the conflict in Ukraine, says Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. Russian President Putin had spoken on the same lines on Thursday. Unprecedented turnout at rallies in Tel Aviv and across Israel demanding that the government free remaining hostages. Police estimates put the number at 500,000 people. Anti-drone systems deployed in strife-hit Manipur in India, says the state police. Paramilitary forces to bring in more anti-drone guns to counter rogue drones that have been used to drop explosives in civilian areas. Poor voter turnout recorded in Saturday's presidential elections in Algeria, in which military-backed President Abdelmadjid Tebboune is expected to win a second term. 2 other candidates are running, but neither opposes the military establishment. Bolivia declares national emergency due to raging forest fires, says the measure is necessary for agencies to quickly coordinate international support. World number 2 Arena Sabalenka holds off home hope Jessica Pegula to win her maiden U.S. Open title. It's the third Grand Slam crown for the Belarusian. Spanish director Pedro Almodovar's first English language movie, The Room Next Door, which tackles themes of euthanasia and climate crisis, wins the prestigious Golden Lion Award at the Venice Film Festival. Now, top story at the hour, massive protests have swept Israel after death of 6 hostages in Gaza as frustration mounts over failure in securing a ceasefire deal. The weekly protests appear to have intensified manyfold. Close to 500,000 people are estimated to have been on the roads of Tel Aviv on Saturday night. This makes it the biggest rally ever in the history of Israel. Thousands held placards and waved Israeli flags as they chanted slogans against Netanyahu government. Protesters also took to the streets in Jerusalem to press Prime Minister Netanyahu's government to reach a deal. The demonstrators are demanding a ceasefire agreement with Hamas to bring the remaining 101 hostages home.
I'm very sad that from the 7th of October till now, not all the Israelis are back home. I call everybody in the world, the Israeli government, and everybody in the world who can do something to bring back our hostages, do it now.
It is exactly 11 months today of Israel's war in Gaza. Numerous rounds of diplomacy have so far failed to clinch a deal to end the conflict. Medics said that Israeli military strikes across Gaza have killed at least 61 people in 48 hours. At least 3 people were killed in an Israeli airstrike on a school in Gaza. Gaza Civil Defense Agency said that the strike targeted a school-turned-shelter for displaced Palestinians, while the military reported that it struck a Hamas command center. The Israeli military said it conducted a precise strike at the school. As Israel continues its offensive, foreign intelligence agencies of the US and the UK have warned that the world order is under threat in what they say they haven't seen since the Cold War. CIA Director William Burns and MI6 Chief Richard Moore have said that they are working ceaselessly for a ceasefire in Gaza. The spy chief said that their agencies had exploited intelligence channels to push hard for restraint and de-escalation. Burns also said a new hostage ceasefire proposal was being finalized and would likely be presented within days, but he stressed that ending the conflict would require some hard choices and political compromises from both Israel and Hamas. Meanwhile, Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan has said that Islamic countries should form an alliance against what he called the growing threat of expansionism from Israel. Erdogan's statement came after a Turkish-American woman who had been taking part in a protest in the Israeli-occupied West Bank. The Palestinian and Turkish officials have said that she was shot and killed by Israeli troops. Witnesses say that this was not an isolated incident.
The reason why no one was filming is because it was completely quiet. And then all of a sudden, 2 shots. And the sniper or the soldier that was there took a kill shot. And this happens in context. This isn't an isolated incident. It happens in the context of the 17 people who were killed in demonstrations in Beta since 2021. We have heard nothing about them because they're not American.
Moving on, after Russian President Vladimir Putin, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has said that countries like India and China can play a role in ending the Ukraine's conflict with Russia. Her statements came after a meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on the sidelines of the European House Ambrosetti in Chernobyl. Now, addressing the annual conference, Meloni said China and India can play a role and must play a role in resolving the conflict in Ukraine. The only thing that cannot happen, she said, is to think that the conflict can be solved by abandoning Ukraine. Now, this comes amid reports about a possible impending transfer of Iranian ballistic missiles to Russia. Now, earlier, Ukraine's foreign ministry said that the deepening military cooperation between Russia and Iran was a threat to Europe and West Asia. The ministry called on international community to increase pressure on Tehran and Moscow. It once again sought approval from the West for the use of long-range missiles inside Russia. So far, the US and UK have been notably hesitant about allowing the use of Storm Shadow and other long-range missiles inside Russia, such as US-made ATACMS, fearing an escalation. However, the heads of the intelligence agencies of US and UK said that the Western leaders need not be intimidated by Russia's threats of a nuclear escalation. Sitting alongside Richard Moore, the head of MI6, CIA Director William Burns said nobody in the West is going to be intimidated by such talks or any other behavior by the Russian state because we all recognize we've got to stay in this and we have to try and help the Ukrainians to restore their independence and sovereignty. Meanwhile, things remain tense on the battlefield. 5 were killed in Russian shelling in eastern Ukraine's Donetsk region. 3 people were killed and 4 injured in the town of Kostyantinivka, while 2 were killed in Toretsk. On the other hand, 3 people have been injured in Russia's Belgorod region after Russian shells hit the town of Shebekino. Kentucky police in the U.S. has raised an alarm on active shooter situation near Interstate 75 in London, Kentucky on Saturday evening. Numerous persons have been reported shot. Now, the incident reportedly began just before 6 p.m. local time, about 9 miles outside London. There were reports of multiple vehicles being fired on Interstate 75 in Laurel County. The shots were reportedly coming from a wooded area. Police has released a photo of the suspect involved in the shooting. He is said to be a 32-year-old male. Efforts are on to arrest him. The Kentucky governor wrote on social media X, "We are aware of a shooting on I-75 in Laurel County. Please avoid the area. We provide more details once they are available." The United States and Iraq have reached an understanding on plans for the withdrawal of U.S.-led coalition forces from Iraq. According to Reuters' report, the plan that requires a final go-ahead will see hundreds of troops leave by September 2025, with the remainder departing by the end of 2026. The U.S. and Iraq are also seeking to establish a new advisory relationship that could see some U.S. troops remain in Iraq after the drawdown. An official announcement was initially scheduled for weeks ago, but was reportedly postponed due to regional escalation related to Israel's war in Gaza. Several sources said that the deal could be announced this month. The agreement follows more than 6 months of talks between Baghdad and Washington, initiated by Prime Minister Mohammad Shia al-Sudani in January, amid attacks by Iran-backed Iraqi armed groups on U.S. The U.S. has approximately 2,500 troops in Iraq and 900 in neighboring Syria as part of the coalition formed in 2014 to combat Islamic State as it rampaged through the two countries. The group was territorially defeated in Iraq at the end of 2017 and in Syria in 2019. The U.S. initially invaded Iraq in 2003, toppling dictator Saddam Hussein before withdrawing in 2011, but returned in 2014 at the head of the coalition to fight Islamic State. Other nations, including Germany, France, Spain, and Italy, are also contributing hundreds of troops to the coalition. Elections in the U.S. are less than 2 months away, and both candidates are pulling out all the stops to solidify support. Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris has welcomed the support from former Vice President Dick Cheney and his daughter Liz Cheney. Now, the Republican Dick Cheney had said in a statement that in the nation's 248-year history, there has never been a greater threat to the republic than Donald Trump. He added that as citizens, they have a duty to put country above partisanship to defend the Constitution. The Harris campaign says that Cheneys have joined a growing movement of Republicans putting country over party by supporting her. The vice president has said that she is honored to win the backing. Listen to what she said.
I'm honored to have their support, and I think it's an important statement right now. A lot of what I think is happening, and I was just talking with some folks here in Pittsburgh about it, is that people are exhausted about the division and the attempts to kind of divide us as Americans. And them stepping up to make this public statement, I think, is courageous, but also for people like the folks I was just talking with, it really reinforces for them that we love our country and we have more in common than what separates us.
Harris said that her main message to Trump in their upcoming debate is that the country wants to be united. The candidates will face off in Philadelphia on Tuesday in their first and possibly only televised debate. The high-stakes ABC debate will be a chance for U.S. voters to finally see the two go head-to-head for the first time. The gloves will be off in the critical test as it comes at a time when the contest is running as close as it gets. While Harris is spending 5 days in Pittsburgh preparing for the debate, Trump expectedly has opted for an aggressive approach.
We're run by stupid people. Stupid people. And we found that out at the debate with Joe. How did that work out? And we're going to find it out again on Tuesday night. Is anybody going to be watching?
The former president has been campaigning in the key battleground state of Wisconsin as he tries to solidify a key segment of his voter base, the working class and rural whites. Trump has seen his support erode among most demographic groups since Harris replaced President Joe Biden for the Democratic ticket. Moving to India, strife with Manipur state is to start using anti-drone systems to destroy rogue drones that are being used to drop explosive in civilian areas. A few such systems are being tested by the paramilitary Central Reserve Police Force. Advanced drones were used in an attack earlier this week to launch multiple rocket-propelled grenades. Officials said that the drone attacks against security forces and civilians marks a significant escalation with this. The ongoing conflict is now seeing the use of improvised rockets in the latest attack. On Saturday, fresh violence erupted in the Indian state of Manipur, killing 5 people in Jiribam district and leaving several injured. This came after security forces on Friday destroyed 3 bunkers of alleged miscreants in Churachandpur district. Heavy exchange of fire took place between 2 communities around 7 kilometers from the district headquarters. 4 armed persons, including 3 hill-based militants, were killed in the incident. The district witnessed fresh violence despite an agreement between representatives of Meitei and Hemar communities to restore normalcy in the state. A meeting was moderated by a Jiribam district administration, Assam Rifles and CRPF personnel representative from HMAR, Meitei, and other communities of Jirbam district were present in the meeting. More than 200 people were killed and thousands rendered homeless in ethnic violence in Manipur since May last year. All right, moving on, the latest U.S. jobs numbers are hot off the press. And if you were hoping for clarity on how large the Federal Reserve's September rate cut is likely to be, well, think again. Take a look at this next report to understand what investors will eye in the coming week.
Friday's job report did little to resolve the debate over whether the Fed will cut rates by 0.25% or 0.5% by the 18th of September. Data showed that US unemployment rate dipped by 1/10 of a percentage point and payrolls growth wasn't as bad as it could have been. However, the last 2 months were revised down, and we already know that further revisions are on the way. The upshot is that it's all to play for whether or not we get a bumper 50 basis point Fed rate cut this month. Investors will keep an eye on US inflation figures this week. No one, though, is expecting any nasty surprises. Analysts say even if the Fed does not cut rates by 0.5% this month, it may well have to do so before the year is out. Recession isn't inevitable, but the momentum is certainly fading. What happens in November's presidential vote is undoubtedly important. The coming week's head-to-head debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump could prove to be pivotal. Across the Atlantic, the European Central Bank is facing its own set of uncertainties. Wage growth is still showing some underlying strength, even if headline numbers are stabilizing. The major question for this week's meeting is whether the ECB will increase its inflation forecast above 2% at the end of 2025. If it does, then that would undoubtedly embolden the ECB hawks and presumably rule out a follow-up cut at October's meeting. It's going to be a similar story in the UK too. The Bank of England, BOE, is expected to cut rates less aggressively than the Fed. Services inflation is still stuck above the US and Eurozone. Just as the bank mirrored the Fed as rates rose, analysts expect the same will largely be true on the way down. Business Bureau Report, WION World is One.
All right, let's take a look at some updates from the world of sports. Reigning champion Francisco Bagnaia pole position at the San Marino Grand Prix. Bagnaia took pole for the main race, setting a new all-time record at 1 minute and 30.304 seconds. Franco Morbidelli was second fastest, while Marco Benzetti will start third. Championship leader Jorge Martin was fourth fastest. Marc Marquez crashed in qualifying and will start back ninth on the grid. Australian duo Max Purcell and Jordan Thompson beat German pair Kevin Kravitz and Tim Payne, marked the second Grand Slam doubles title for Purcell and first for Thompson. Purcell had won the 20. Well, since it's the weekend, you must be looking for new shows and movies to binge watch. Well, here are our top picks for the week.
Let's begin with the Ananya Pandey Stara web series.
You can call me Babe. Good morning.
Currently streaming on Amazon Prime, this rom-com show follows the story of a glamorous heiress from South Delhi, Bella Chaudhary.
Meri family mein, there's no such thing as too much bling.
Bay, as she is affectionately called, finds her world turned upside down after a scandal leads to her being disowned by her wealthy family.
Aapke sare cards decline ho gaye. Are you suggesting that middle class would be an upgrade, ma'am?
The Colin Diconia directorial, which also stars Veer Das and Varun Sood, explores the quirks and complexities of modern relationships. So, if you're looking for some life lessons, Call Me Bae should be your pick for the week.
I am Bae. I'm here to slay. Seize the day.
Do you think that it requires a kind of unconditional love to stay married 29 years?
Well, that and a healthy sex life, I think that's really important.
The next on the list is The Perfect Couple. Based on Ellen Hildebrandt's best-selling novel, this 6-episode mystery drama follows a bride about to marry into the wealthy and influential Winbury family. However, the celebration is abruptly shattered when a dead body is discovered on the beach just hours before the ceremony.
Is there something that you want to tell me?
As the investigation unfolds, secrets are exposed, turning every member of the wedding party into a potential suspect.
Why do you ask people to sign NDAs? Pardon?
They're rich.
Starring Nicole Kidman and Dakota Fanning in pivotal roles, this web series can be on your watch list if you are a whodunit fan.
Are the astronauts safe?
But if you want to brush up your history and are also a sci-fi fan, Netflix's Apollo 13 Survival should be your choice.
The main mission objective of Apollo 13 is a continuing one. We hope to find out a lot about the origin of the moon and from that, the origin of the Earth.
Offering an immersive and gripping recount of NASA's harrowing Apollo 13 mission, this documentary masterfully blends rare archival footage and in-depth audio recordings to recreate the tension-filled days of April 1970. The film captures the resilience of the NASA ground team who worked tirelessly to bring the crew safely back to Earth.
We ought to be hearing something.
3, 2, 1. Will you please answer?
0.
Hindu devotees across India are celebrating the birth of the elephant-faced deity Ganesha with festivities held alongside unique idols. This week-long festival will have cultural performances, elaborate processions, and special prayers. We leave you with this report. Do stay tuned. News and updates will follow on the other side. You're watching WION The World is One. Stay tuned.
This week on the West Asia Post. 500,000 protesters took to the streets and called on Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to secure a hostage deal. Has the Israeli Prime Minister failed the hostages? As mediators try to seal the Gaza ceasefire deal, Israeli forces continue to pound Gaza and occupied West Bank. In a high-stakes operation, Turkish intelligence have uncovered Mossad's secret financial network. Also on the show, amid looming threat of Iran's revenge attack, there are questions over the capabilities of Tehran's ballistic missiles.
Watch the West Asia Post with me, Radi Francis, only on WION. World is One.
यार का problem क्या है ना?
As iconic Indian films hit screens once again, we decode the ongoing trend of re-releasing films. Meet the cast of The Lord of the Rings of Power, as new season releases online, and find out some lesser-known facts about global superstar Beyoncé. All this and much more with me, Isha Hanspal, at these times only on WION E-Club.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles,
Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. You're watching WION World is One. I'm Jyotsa Kamal. Let's start with the headlines first. Hezbollah says it launched a salvo of rockets at a North Israel town early on Sunday, calls it a retaliation for Israel's attack that had killed 3 civil defense workers in South Lebanon on Saturday. Exactly 11 months into the Israel-Gaza war, unprecedented turnout at rallies in Tel Aviv and across Israel demanding that the government get back the remaining hostages. Police say at some 500,000 people held the protests. Kentucky police released picture of the suspected shooter in a firing situation on the Interstate 75 near London in Kentucky state in the U.S. Reports say many people have been shot. People warned to stay away. Anti-drone systems deployed in strife-hit Manipur in India, says the state police. Paramilitary forces to bring in more anti-drone guns to counter rogue drones that have been used to drop explosives in civilian areas. Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar reaches Riyadh to attend the first India-Gulf Cooperation Council Foreign Ministers meeting. Dr. Jaishankar will also be visiting Germany and Switzerland. Pope Francis holds Sunday Mass before an estimated 35,000 people at Port Moresby in Papua New Guinea. Papua New Guinea is the Pope's second stop on his 12-day trip across Asia Pacific. Bolivia declares national emergency due to raging forest fires, says that the measure is necessary for agencies to quickly coordinate international support. World number 2 Arina Sabalenka holds off home hope Jessica Pegula to win her maiden U.S. Open title. Is the third Grand Slam crown for the Belarusian.